All right. Hello, 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 everyone. I appreciate all of you waiting, giving me a little bit of time. As I've said before, I am staying probably about 45 minutes to an hour from Walterboro. So it takes a little bit of time for me to get home. And then today I had some other issues with service and I had to pick some things up at a hotel and transferring. So it took me a little bit longer, but I appreciate you all. And I really want to get into it because today was crazy. I don't know how you all feel, but I definitely think that trial picked up a lot of energy in the courtroom, a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on. But first, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. It's a good day, celebrate if you are doing anything special or you're just hanging out. I think it's pretty fun. Is my volume low? Sorry. Or am I just talking super low? Oh shoot, Law and Lumber is Rob y'all are here from there? Awesome. Well, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Love Rob. Oh, appreciate that. I know there's a lot of energy going on with court today. And yes, I was sitting right behind Alex Murdaugh's head. So if you were watching, you saw me today right behind Alex Murdaugh, which was pretty cool because my grandmother actually called me. Or no, I called her. I apologize, but she told me that she saw me on TV and her friend who is very interested in the trial also saw me on TV, so that was funny. But yeah, crazy day in court. Was not expecting to see Maggie's sister. I thought that was definitely new and unexpected because I actually just spoke about it today. I did a stream at lunch where I jumped on a stream with Ricada and basically had mentioned that everyone was very curious as to when anyone in Maggie's family was going to show up. And I was very curious about that. And I know everyone in the media asks about it a lot. We haven't seen anyone come sit in the rows from her family. So to actually see her sister come and testify was a huge shock. And real quick, I appreciate all of you in here. I'm going to just ask you all if you have a question. Try to either put a Q or a question and then question mark so I see it and mark it. Of course, super chats and everything are always helpful because they are big and colorful and things like that. It's easier to see. Thank you, Brenda, for the super sticker. I'm sorry I'm not on camera. When I get an actual camera, I'll be able to do that. So that's part of what I'm doing. But in the meantime, I'm just happy to go to court and report for you all everything that's going on. So, but yes, if you have any questions, I'm going to pin them and get to them throughout. But I also have an outline of things I want to discuss with you all. Christy says, "What a day, James. Can't wait to hear your take. Thanks for what you do." Thank you, Christy. Appreciate that. And yeah, my take is really just going to be observations. And then, of course, I have my story about how I spoke to two of the Murdaugh brothers at lunch, and then Maggie's sister, and how she was during the break, and then how she left. And I thought it was interesting that she left with it was John Marvin and his wife, but we'll get to that. I also want to talk about John Marvin's wife, who showed up to court today because she was a lot more expressive and emotional than any of the other Murdaughs I've seen so far, albeit Alec, because he actually has been crying and catatonic at times. But it's hard to know because he's actually, of course, on trial. That if that is emotion because he is filled with grief or because he's filled with guilt, so we'll get to that, but Casey Cat, Maggie's sister, Poot just can't stepping in and kicking open doors. Yes, okay. Thank you, Haley from Maryland. Oh, okay, thanks for your hard work and all these trials. Okay, just pinning questions. Thank you for the questions, y'all. This is great. Stacking them up. Got a good amount here I'm going to go through. Heather, please tell me who is that older gentleman that usually sits behind Alex. He seems to stare daggers into the back of his head half the time. I believe you're talking about the man. He has what's sort of like a beard, right? And he puts on glasses sometimes and he looks very stern. He is security. So I don't know. I've heard he's FBI. He could be former FBI and now he's private security in the not private security, he's security in the court, but he's security for Alec and the family. So that is who that man is. Just real quick, I'm going to pin a lot of the questions, but I just want to answer this. This will probably be about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I try to keep it rather concise, but I have a habit of giving erroneous details. So just tell me. I try to gauge with you all too what you're all looking for. Super chat from Dark Arts by Adrian. Thank you very much. Okay, questions. Saving these real quick and then I'm going to move on. DUI guy is coming tomorrow. I'm going to pick him up, by the way, from the airport, and we will be in trial for the rest of the week. But I think I want to talk about real quick because this is something that I've noticed in court going on quite often, but especially today. It's the judge. The judge has had enough, I think, of this trial. At first, he allowed all of these extra crimes and things like that because, of course, one, there's the legal precedent. I'm not going to say that there wasn't. I mean, he did it under legal reasons, but I think he also wanted to preside over this case in a manner that he could see everything that was going on, but it's turned into such a mess at this point, and more so that neither of the attorneys have respected the court's time. They take up a lot of extra time talking to each other. I mean, in the middle of asking questions, they'll just walk back and have like, a 30-second to a minute conversation with another member of the team. And everyone's just sitting there and the judge sitting there staring at them almost with a like, what are you doing kind of face. You know what I mean? And today I noticed he actually leaned back in his chair, lifted his head to the ceiling, and closed his eyes. It had to be 15 seconds. I don't know if you got it on camera, if they saw that, but it was crazy and it was hilarious. But I think it showed to me more so that the judge is kind of annoyed with all of this, you know? He's kind of annoyed with how long it's taking. He definitely got upset with Harpootlian today and their team. I mean, there was times when he scolded both sides today. I mean, scolded them, and he got so frustrated that he just called a break and walked out. He just said, "Okay, we're going to get first." He let the jury out so they could do their little objection thing, and then he just walked out. I mean, he's getting extremely frustrated. Tell me what you all think about that, and how you feel. But that's exactly how I'm feeling. And I am pinning these questions because this is awesome. There's a good amount of y'all. I think this is the most I've ever actually had on a stream so far. So I appreciate y'all. If you don't mind giving a like to this video, it's going to help me with all the fun YouTube stuff. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel because that'll also help. I do update on Twitter with the most important things that happen throughout the day when I can, and also on the schedule of what I do streams. So if you want to follow me on Twitter as well. But again, because now there's a good amount of you, I just want to wish you all a good, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you are enjoying it either with someone, or if you're not, that you're happily enjoying it with yourself, because it's always fun to treat yourself, right? I love Parks and Rec. I'm a big fan of Parks and Rec. So I think Valentine's Day is definitely like a treat yourself kind of day, no matter what kind of situation you're in. And enough, because we're also going to get to more of the trial after I pin some of these questions. Thank you for the super sticker, Snowflake Par Excellence. Appreciate that. Let's go on to the next portion of this slide real quick. So I do apologize again for being a little bit late. So just real quick, there's also a lot more of you now. If you haven't seen the new jury breakdown, here it is. We lost two jury members because of COVID, and that was from the actual jury pool, not the alternates. Now we have two female replacements who replaced two males, and that's the new. Okay, that's the new breakdown. So sorry about that. And this is basically the breakdown of the jury. So now we have, if you're interested, this is the demographics and everything like that. Thank you, Elise, for the super sticker. Appreciate that. All right, wow. Okay, good. Shoot, y'all. I appreciate everyone in here. I'm trying to get these questions and everything. I'm gonna get the super ones, super chats, things like that quickest, and then I'm saving all the other ones to go through after I get through my notes. Dreaming Cat Studio, how engaged are the jury? They were very engaged, and it depends on the testimonies, of course. But with Maggie, excuse me, I keep no, with Maggie's sister, it was obviously extremely engaged. There was one juror member who was actually crying. Well, I mean tearing. And it's hard for me to see, so I can't say it could have been like an Amber situation where there's no tears, but I think if you're a jury member and you're like wiping your eyes like that, you're actually, feeling something about it. But yeah, so I can imagine, it was engaging for everyone in the courtroom. I can imagine it's going to be engaging for the jury as well. There are 12 jurors, and if we lose any more, it's going to be a serious issue. And this is part of the COVID issue because basically I was talking to some other media people, and if we get one more, two more jurors that test positive, which by the way, the doctor is coming tomorrow to test them all again, it could very well be a serious issue where it could be delayed or possibly even a mistrial. So that would be bad. And I just want to say, hey, Rob from Law and Lumber, uh, thank you very much for stopping by this stream. This is awesome to have you. I guess this is probably the first time I've done this, because this is like the third time I've ever actually had a stream, and especially with being able to do things like this, which is fun. But I would love to have you on. Uh, I know you did a long time tonight, so that's probably not what you're looking for, but I would love to have you on sometime this week, or I can hop on with you and we can chat and have fun and talk about the craziness that this trial is bringing, because I think it's definitely taking a turn, and Rob has some great insight. I'm glad that he's starting to cover this trial because it's fun to see everyone's different opinions. I love Emily's opinion. I love hearing Nick, I'll go to Nick's stream and listen to him because they've got a whole nother perspective on on their stream. And then, I love hearing Rob now in the mix because he's got a whole fresh perspective as well. So, and I've talked to Natalie last week, so I'd love to talk to Rob and do things like that. It's nice to see you. Hopefully, people will maybe come down at some point, although it's almost over, but we'll see. I will also add probably a breakdown of this picture to Twitter. Now, there is a timeline going around that I haven't made, but another person made. I'm sure you all have seen it. I'll retweet it. Uh, Someone spoke about it in Rob's chat. Rob spoke about it. It's really great and supplemented with this jury breakdown. Basically, it would give you everything about the trial so far because remember, the jurors are not allowed to write anything down. So imagine how difficult it is for us to keep a timeline together. The jurors, I don't even know what they're doing. They're only really getting the biggest pieces of information. Rebecca D, thank you for this super chat, which will, I promise, go towards getting me a visual setup so you all can see me. And yes, and I'll be able to do that. Thank you for the super sticker. All right, but let's get through some questions because I want to answer that. Any jurors looking a little ill tomorrow is swab test day. Not looking ill. They were relatively ill because of the medical examiner's testimony, but not from COVID. So I get this question a lot about who's coughing in court. It is just random people. It's not necessarily the same person. There could be 4 different people who cough maybe sporadically, and it just sounds like it's a lot. I mean, remember, there are definitely over 100 people in the courtroom for sure. I would say maybe even upwards of 150, possibly, could be more. So you're going to hear all sorts of coughing here and there, and there is a significant, population of people who might have colds, I'll say that as well. My thoughts on the judge, I really like the judge. I think he is trying to be fair. I think he is interested in the trial. I think he does want to preside over this trial. I think he doesn't want a situation where it's going to go to another judge and have a different ruling. I think he wants to be very meticulous with it. I think he's also fed up with all of the BS from all of the different attorneys. Also, I'll say that. Alex Murdaugh, I can't see him, to be honest with y'all, so I don't know how fidgety he is. I see his head movements, and he always bobs his head. That's just I always see that a lot. He was crying, of course, in the beginning with the medical examiner's testimony, and I noticed that the judge was looking at him a lot now. I don't know why, but he was watching him for some reason. But then after the examiner, he changes disposition with every different witness, so it's hard. And you all see him better than me. You can actually see him face on. I only see him from an angle and from the back. I'm like 7 rows behind him. From Selena, how was the jury when Maggie said Alex wasn't scared and always had a gun with him? Yeah, I mean, this was a good point, and they were definitely interested in her testimony. I think with her, it's hard because there's such a level of emotion to it that once you're hearing that and you're seeing her and they're quite close to her, so they're seeing her cry, you know, they're already pulled in and anything is gonna resonate with them. I think it's going to be hard for them to remember specific things because, again, they can't write anything down, but I think the inconsistencies will make an impact on them. Now, excuse me. I will make a note, and I should have added this earlier when talking about the COVID situation. Most of the jurors now do wear masks. It's hard to say exactly sorry, excuse me. It's hard to see what they're saying, what they're thinking, and it's a little bit now harder to read them, I guess, because of that. So, about let's see, I think 10 of them are wearing masks. I mean, 5 of them took off their masks and 5 came into court without wearing their masks. So that is something as well. I don't know if you're interested in knowing that, but also it's kind of interesting to note that after Mr. Harpootlian made such a big thing about the masks yesterday, that today none of his team nor anyone in the court. I mean, I had it with me and a couple of people were wearing it. My friend, the junior, Taylor Lorenz Jr., who actually now, I don't know if you all, I mean, the people who watched my stream about this earlier will know. I was told I couldn't sit in certain, well, I wasn't told. I was almost bumped out and taken my press pass because I dared to sit in a seat that, by the way, wasn't blocked for a group of media people, but it was just one person and it wasn't even, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. They eventually now got their own little placards that they have, and my point is, sh those people, she was wearing a mask, but no one else really did. I mean, I had it, and I was gonna put it on, but it didn't seem like, I don't know, maybe it's just the court here. But I also don't wanna get sick, so I do need to be careful. So I will get to this about the brothers at lunch. Okay, I already answered that. I'm gonna get to how the jury racked Marianne, we're gonna get there. Question from Ava because this is a fun little courtroom thing. It is freezing in the courtroom. And how is the jury staying awake? Ava wants to know. Are they engaged? I can't imagine being a juror on this trial without the ability to take notes. So there were a few jurors who would get tired. One of those people is the one who got COVID and had to leave. And that juror would actually fall asleep at, well, I don't know. I mean, their eyes would get very closed almost, and they would lean against the flag behind them. So they would at least be extremely tired. And I think the judge noticed that. And that's why we take a lot of breaks where in the beginning, in the first half of the trial, I would say we're done with the first half. So in the first half of the trial, the judge was having the gallery stand up a lot and take like even a 2-minute break just to stand. And I think that's because the jury was getting very tired and the judge noticed that. We still do that relatively often, but now also the courtroom is freezing. And I think part of that is because he wants the jury to stay awake and people to stay awake. But it's a very good point. I don't know how they do it. I think it's getting better now because of the different witnesses that we have who have been a little bit more engaging. It's definitely got better. It's up there. So, as far as, everything tying together. Okay, will folks, yes, I have spoken to them, and I will definitely do a live stream. I love them. They've been Fitz News, if y'all didn't know, I've been covering this, and the Alex Murdaugh. Been a bunch of places I've been covering it, but they've done a great job getting some good behind the scenes information for sure. Question from Mike: do I think Maggie's sister changed the jury? I thought she had a powerful testimony. I definitely things she did as well. You know what? Let's get into that. Let's get into all of the day's events. So, this isn't really fleshed out. I apologize. I wish I had more time. I would have been much more late had I gone through and really fleshed out an outline, but we'll talk about a few things. So, just real quick, the cross examination of the medical examiner this morning, it sent Alex back into a state of extreme sadness and I mean, almost like a catatonic state he gets, like, I noticed that the judge was watching him a lot. I don't know I don't know what that is, but during that time, the judge was watching him a lot. I mean, he was visibly upset. It's odd because the family doesn't seem crazy upset. I don't know how they sit there and listen to those details and everything, but, they do. The problem that I had with all of this, and especially the cross-examination, is with that stick, and they were having it, like, pointed they were doing basically, like, charades up there, like a physical reenactment of where it would, come out right in front of the jury, and it's really crowding the jury, and everyone's up there, all in front of them, and they really tried to make more out of the, I guess, angles than really they could because the medical examiner was a great witness who really explained in detail the difference between an exit and entrance wound, and I think that really stuck with them. So I don't know how effective that was, but it was definitely a hard morning to get through because we had to relive all of that kind of gross stuff. Now I'll tell you all things that I noticed from the morning. Of course, the family is still sitting in the back row of the first section. The court was not giving out masks. I had mine. They said basically if you had it, if you wanted, you could wear it, but otherwise, no. The whole the whole prosecution was in the courtroom ready to go early, and there was no one outside of the courtroom. So there was not a line out front of the courthouse today. There were not that actually many people in the gallery. It's probably half full, which I thought was interesting. But also today, Randy was in court. So Randy Murdaugh was the other brother, and he was not there the other days. And I thought that was interesting. Who knows if he knew about some of the testimonies or if, he wanted to be there because they knew they were doing cross for the medical examiner, but he was there as well. Brittany, too, was there. Buster's girlfriend. I don't know how you all feel about the cross and redirect. You can let me know in the chat if it was effective for you, but I'm going to move on. So then we had the General Motors witness who was really quick, and basically all about that is I could say I feel bad for him that he had to come all the way from wherever he was. He sounded like he was from Boston. I don't know if that's where he lives now or he lives somewhere else, but the fact that he had to come for just that very short period of time, I felt bad for him. The jury, I mean, I don't think it made any difference to them. I can't imagine it did. It seemed to cause, the defense to have a little whatever beforehand, but they had nothing about it, so it was fine. I think the construction, um, the man who had done construction work and then worked at Moselle, his name was Roger Dale Davis Jr. Was it Jr.? I think I wrote Jr. I apologize. I write so fast and sometimes my handwriting is quite messy. But I thought he was an effective witness. what I took away, just real quick, is that he characterized his conversations with Maggie as treating him like a normal person, whereas he said that Alec was very particular with him. I will say the court really liked him. The judge really liked him. The judge would actually smile at him and turn to him and look at him and watch him. I think the judge found him to be a nice person. I mean, he seemed to be just a real, like, good, down to earth kind of guy. He, loved the family, loved the dogs. I think we finally got a vindication of Bubba, and I thought that was nice. But the jury did actually seem to be bored and tired at points, especially when it kinda went on. People did laugh. The jury members laughed, especially when they talked about, Bubba having a bad name. So, maybe it's a way to get more sympathy with the jury because, you know, he sort of contributed to the narrative that the alibi is, partly a lie, so that he had something to do with it. Then we had the financial crimes, which bored the jury, and that was, exactly what you would have expected. I don't really think that added much. I think it's just going to contribute to, and I know that they're trying to do motive. I think it's more character, but whatever. That's just my opinion as a layperson. However, my main takeaways from this as a watcher, a court watcher, is that the family did not like this testimony. Alex's sister seems to be really bothered by this kind of stuff. I mean, she's much more, what can I say, like, attentive to what's going on than the other members. I mean, Buster and John Marvin will kind of like talk to each other and things like that. She's almost sometimes turned completely towards the witness and watching. So I think that's interesting. And then John Marvin's wife was in court as well today, and she had a lot of reactions that I'll get to, but she was kind of visibly angry during the financial crimes testimony, and she kind of looked forward. I don't know why, but that's all I can say. And then we'll get to lunch because that is when I met and spoke with Randy and John Marvin, and I thought that was really interesting. But I just real quick want to say hello to everyone. There is a good amount of you here, and I appreciate it. I'm going to try to save your questions. I see there are super chats, and I really want to get to those. I want to get to all of your questions as well. So feel free to ask them, put them in the chat if you can. Just real quick, like this video because that'll help me with all the fun YouTube stuff. So just a reminder. And real quick, I'm going to pop over to the super chats, get a few of those, and then go back to my lunch story. So Janice Driver says, thank you for reporting. Appreciate that. Elise Lane, how did the jury react to Poot on cross with medical examiner? I guess I just answered that. I'm sorry. I just spoke about that. And, how they were pretty crowded. I think it's hard to say how they're going to react back when they are deliberating because I mean, he was standing there with a stick, pointing in different directions. It was almost comical at times. So thank you for the super chat, Glow T. Much appreciated. Oh, shoot. Rob, you're still here. What's the new makeup of the jury with the alternate switching in? Also happy to have you jump on Thursday. Great. Yes, we will do that. Let's do Thursday. I'll say it now. So everyone, uh, you know, look out for that. And I guess you saw that this a while ago. So I'm hoping that you saw the jury breakdown. But I can always put it back up for sure. All right, parallel gen, we are getting to that story in just 1 second. Shoot, it's actually hard to keep up with all of these questions. My bad, y'all. But I do want to tell the story. So let's just begin with that. Today at lunch, I left a little bit early. I sit next to actually one of the podcasters from Law and Crime. She's Gigi. I think it's Pretty Lies and Alibis. If you want to check it out, she's really nice. She's been covering a lot of this stuff for a while. And we both left early anyway. So I was down by the food trucks, and Randy and John Marvin are walking around kind of like slowly, and it's just them. There's not really any other people there at the time. There's a couple people at one of the food trucks, um, but at this point, there's not a lot of people out there. They are always the first who are ushered out of the courtroom. So they always get out first. So basically, they're walking around and they walk up, past me at first and then kind of back around. And John Marvin was kind of like looking at me. I don't know. I mean, listen, this is for all intents and purposes, it's a small courthouse, and not to mention socially, it's even smaller. Everyone knows each other, especially all of like the media people. So it's kind of, when you're someone like an outsider, people want to know who you are. And I'm not saying that anyone wants to know who I am, but there's been several kind of weird instances where like random people have walked up to me and just asked me. And maybe this is completely normal in these settings. I haven't been doing this for very long, but people just come up to me and be like, "Well, who are you?" and like, "Where are you from?" and things like that. And I don't really speak to them, but also I'll probably preface it. Members of different teams have just come up to me or like made comments to me. So I think there is an incentive for them to know everyone in the courtroom, especially, if someone's a media person. And I don't blame them for doing that. And also the court is a small court. I mean, the staff has to be an under 50-person court staff. So, people talk, and I think people know, people say there's a guy from France and everyone knows the guy from Paris. I'm from Florida, so they call me Miami in there. And I think, word gets around and things like that. So I don't know if they knew about me before, or, I mean, again, I don't know if they know about the streams and things like that. But they walk pretty much up to me and start asking me about the different food trucks that are there. And we had a short conversation about that first. And then he asked me basically who I am, what's my name, where I'm from, kinda like what I'm doing here, and it was a pleasant conversation, I'll say. I mean, I didn't want to really press anything specifically. Sorry, 1 second. I feel like it was more of a conversation of, like, feeling me out, and I don't know if that was basically just their way of trying to see basically who I was. I've talked about I've made some tweets and spoken about it a little bit, but I'm not really like a media person. I'm not on a big news network, so I wouldn't assume that again that they would be that interested, but it just felt I don't know. I don't see them go up and talk to random people, who show up to court and things like that. And I think having maybe of course a media badge as well, but I don't know. Oh, yeah, sorry. I was gonna begin this with doing a clickbait thing by saying I've changed my mind and I now believe that Alex is innocent, but I've ruined that. So I don't really change how I feel about them. I do feel bad for the family. I do think that they probably, I mean, to an extent knew things that were going on, but also to an extent probably didn't realize how bad they had gotten. And, to their credit, they show up every day in support. I don't know if that's good or bad. Y'all can, tell me what you think about that. But yeah, it was just a short, interesting conversation. And I probably will try to speak to them further later on as the trial continues, maybe after to ask them. I didn't want to, of course, also give too much away about, who I am and things like that because I want to be free to speak and not, you know, one get in trouble because they are still, and I'm not going to say anything's going to happen to me, of course, but they're powerful in the court and I could get my media badge taken away if they don't, if I say things or, if I'm, ask questions or things like that. So I'm just trying to be careful. I'm far away from home. This is not my territory. But let me know what you all think about that and if you actually want me to ask them specific questions or anything because I can do that. And I'm sorry, I'm way behind on some of these questions and things like that. They're coming in very fast. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I fixed it, but I hope it looks better for y'all. I think probably, of course, the hardest testimony was from the sister. And the family after lunch completely changed in their disposition. And I want to get to that real quick. So I'm going to go through here and pin some of these things so I know what to talk about real quick. Super chat. Marnie Knight, thank you so much for being there and for your insights. Did you see Maggie's family interact with the Murdaughs? Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to get to this. I apologize. Shoot. I'm going to get to the sister right now in a second. I just want to try to answer some questions or at least super chats. Real quick, Olga, which trial have of the two you've seen have you enjoyed more? To be honest, I mean, I think this trial has been more interesting legally and technically, and the both teams have been way more competent. I think in the Johnny Depp trial, you had very much one-sided. You had Rottenborn, who was competent, but you had Elaine, who kind of messed things up. And I also found the nature of the Johnny Depp trial much lighter material. This is a lot more graphic. It's a lot sadder. It's dealing with worse topics, and that makes it a little bit less enjoyable. I wouldn't say I enjoy this trial. I find this trial interesting and it's getting very interesting and I wouldn't call that enjoyable per se. You know how I feel. But all right, let's just get to the family, I think, because that was the most significant part of the day. And I was very excuse me, surprised to see her in court. First, I think it was interesting that she did not sit in the gallery, so I had no idea that she was going to even be there. All of a sudden, they call her name, and she comes out of there's, like, side rooms that are connected to a hallway from the side of court, and then the door to court opens. She comes through the court entrance and just comes right up. The courtroom gets pretty I mean, there was, like, a buzz, especially in the jury not the excuse me, the gallery. Long day. My bad, y'all. Literally sat in court from what, 9 to 4:35, so yeah, long day. But definitely an energy in the gallery when, she came in. Oh, yes, okay, she entered with the witness coordinator, yes. So, yes, Proctor, Marion Proctor, that is Maggie's sister. And she moved the jury for sure. I'll say that. I'll also say that immediately as she took the stand, John Marvin's wife started crying. And that's why I like John Marvin's wife, to be honest. I feel like she is the most, I would say, empathetic that I've seen. I would also say that she is probably the most expressive I've seen of the Murdaugh family. And she was like weeping at this point. And this was just in the very beginning. This was also hard, I would say, for everyone to watch. It was hard because I was really, and you'll see in the streams of court, I'm watching the family and I'm trying not to stare directly at them, but it's hard not to because you want to get a read. So, Lynn, who is Alex's sister, was very, what do I say, stern, and she was just watching. And I think she knew how significant this testimony was, but it was really John Marvin's wife who was quite sad, and I feel for her, and I feel for all of them. I tweeted a little bit about this, and I'll say that during the break, I really felt for Maggie's sister because she was left pretty much alone up there, and it was really sad. She was, I mean, crying on the stand, and then to see, us go into recess and the courtroom go into recess and everyone kind of buzzing around in the courtroom and chatting. And, it's a lot different than the court in the Johnny Depp trial because we were not allowed to talk there. Even during the breaks, there was like no talking, whispering, nothing. But here, everyone's talking. Everyone's, uh, some people are laughing, getting loud, everything like that. And in that moment, she's just standing there watching everyone, as her life is, part of her life is destroyed. And it just was very sad. And I was watching her and she had a box of tissues, but I didn't know. And I actually asked the person next to me if the prosecutors were allowed to go like comfort her or talk to her. I don't think they're allowed to talk to her during the breaks at all. So that's kind of unfortunate. I was hoping that maybe they could go up and say something to her, I actually, like, I was looking at her. I was hoping maybe she'd look at me so I could, like, smile at her, like, not that that would help at all, but just, that someone would notice her standing there, in all of this. I can imagine it's probably hard. You have such an emotional thing happen, and then the whole courtroom's filled with people and they're all there for their own motives. You have the two defense teams and, yes, one side maybe, and both of them seem to care about you maybe, but they're just there doing their job. And then the people in the gallery are there because they just want to see what's going on. And then you have the press, which is just there to report. So, I feel for her. She didn't really have anyone there besides her husband and I guess the witness coordinator, because that person seemed to be, once she sat back down, after her testimony, she sat in the actual, section while her husband testified. The witness coordinator seemed to be like, you know, talk to her and pat her and things like that. So I felt like she did get, a little bit of comfort from that. But I also feel like it was weird that they just asked a few questions of her husband and then had them walk out. I mean, maybe he didn't want to ask anything else, and that's what he said, or didn't want to answer anything else, and maybe he said he wasn't going to, and they just had them leave. But I thought that was interesting. I do want to talk about when they left because they went and I was under the impression, and y'all can tell me what you think about this, but I was under the impression that she, I mean, was offering a pretty damning, testimony towards Alec. She said she, found it odd that he was so concerned with protecting Paul's reputation. And I just feel like she probably wouldn't have offered that up if she didn't feel some way. She also said how she felt about who had conducted the attack on Alec changed, in September. And I thought that was interesting. So she chose to do this, but I also thought it was kind of telling that she hasn't been there at all. So it's not like she's come every day excuse me, that's not a word. It's not like she came every day and sat with the actual family. If she had done that, then I would be, let's say, more apprehensive about calling her a witness for the prosecution, because I'd say, okay, she actually supports Alex Murdaugh and the family and things like that. But she hasn't come any day, and she's kind of expressed in her testimony that she doesn't necessarily feel like he's being truthful about everything. So, anyway, my point to all of this is when she was leaving, she went and she hugged Buster and John Marvin's wife, and she did like a weird hand clasp thing with Lynn, and she sort of acknowledged Randy, and but not really. And then they just walked out. But John Marvin and his wife followed them out of the courtroom and went down with them. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know what they did, but they went out, obviously they went and spoke with them. Now I did go out a few minutes after that because I was going to leave anyway, and I did notice that John Marvin's wife was coming out of the bathroom and went back up to the courtroom, and she had obviously been crying continuously. I mean, she had been crying throughout the whole trial today, so that's not anything new, but I'm assuming that whatever happened between them was quite sad. Maybe this is the first time that they've all seen each other in a long time. Who knows? Or maybe they were all just, having a moment together, but that was something that I noticed. So take it for what it is. I'm just giving y'all my observations as, as much as I can. Again, I just felt like that was a hard testimony. I think on the jury, that was going to be extremely effective because it's not like she took the stand and was completely neutral and unbiased. Yes, she admitted to certain things. And I'm not going to rehash everything that she talked about because that's not, what I do. Y'all have other streams. You can listen to Rob, from Lawn Lumber. You can listen to Emily. You can listen to Nick. You can listen to anyone else who's, talking about it. Kurt is talking about it, from the legal perspective, but I'll just say that from the jury's perspective, I feel like her testimony is going to make a significant impact because she did hit on key things that she felt like, to me, insinuated that Alec had something to do with this, you know? And let me know what you all think about that. But I'm just as a layperson and someone who tries to put myself in the jury's shoes, you know? So I feel like they're going to remember key aspects of what she said. And what she said is that she didn't believe him about certain things. And defense is up, they're in a hard place up against her, crossing her, because you can't really go against Maggie's sister as a witness, you know? It does not look good when you do that. I also thought it was interesting, just real quick, that she said this line, and it wasn't a lavish it wasn't a lavish life, it was a comfortable life. And I just thought that that was kind of fun. It just shows you, I guess, the nature of, the high society of South Carolina, because I think a lot of people would call living, having a hunting lodge that is what, 1,700 acres and a beach house and all of that, a pretty lavish life, you know what I mean? So, um, or maybe not, maybe that's not lavish. I get what she means though. It wasn't ostentatious, I think is what she was trying to say. They weren't driving around in Bentleys with private jets, doing all these kinds of things, but they did have a $1,700 hunting estate with an airplane landing strip and all of this, these other things. But I just thought that that was interesting and a little funny. So I also want to get to real quick another big moment that I thought was really funny from court. And this was when the objections were happening. And do you all remember when, I forget his name, but he is the other defense attorney, and he was talking to the judge about, conversations they had and things about from 5 years ago. But basically, they were talking about a conversation that him and um, Marianne had, and he goes, "Well, it's hearsay, right?" I mean, he was calling his own conversation with the witness possibly hearsay, and I have to tell you all, the court, yeah, Jim Griffin, apologize. Okay, so his name is Jim Griffin. Thank you. Okay, but when I tell you the court erupted in laughter to the point that actually one of the bailiffs, who normally she's very stern. I mean, she's fun. She's a good sport, but she is like very, very good at her job, very straight laced. She could be, one of the guards for Buckingham Palace, and she actually put her hand to her mouth and hid laughter because of how funny that was. I mean, I want to get the video, clip it if someone could clip it for me on Twitter or something. But that was probably the best moment from trial. If I could answer anyone's question in the future, in the past, who wants to know my favorite moment from this trial, it's probably that moment, because people had laughed. I mean, the court laughed so hard when the lawyer calls his own conversation with the witness hearsay. Love it. And that just shows you again how intertwined this entire trial is. the courtroom, the lawyers, the witnesses, they all know each other. They've all gone to the same parties. Their kids go to the schools. They babysit each other on the weekends. They're, in each other's soccer leagues, going to the same country clubs, defending each other in court. I mean, Dick Harpootlian and Jim were defending Paul in the boat crash case and now defending Alec. You know what I mean? It's a whole thing. And they've been best friends with him for years. So, anyway, it's a whole thing down here in South Carolina. I will also say about Maggie's sister, the judge was extremely attentive to her. I don't know if he saw how she felt or things like that, or he's just empathetic because, again, he did lose a son relatively recently, but this was the only witness that I saw him be this way with. He often would ask her if she needed a break or needed anything, and I just thought that that was really kind of him. And just shows more about who he is as a person and as a judge. He doesn't have to do things like that, and it's nice to notice that because I like to notice things about people's character, and I like him, so I also want to validate the reason I like him as well. So seeing him do nice things for people validates my own bias towards liking him, which I will acknowledge. I have a bias towards this judge. I like Judge Newman. But let me see if there's anything else from that testimony I want to talk about before getting to more questions or just questions in general, because I really haven't answered any. I will also say that the jurors were watching Maggie's sister intently, but more so watching the family at times. They really wanted to see their reactions and Alex specifically. I also noticed that Maggie's sister didn't position her body straight. She turned towards the jury, which they say you're supposed to do, but she really made it so she didn't look at Alec. Like, she didn't look at him, you know? And I think that says something. I think it says how she feels about him, how her family feels about him. Just seeing what else I wrote down. I also noticed again, John Marvin's wife was very angry at times, but also crying many times. Many, many times. And I had mentioned this before on the stream, but also one of the jury members looked to be crying at a point or on the verge of tears. So I think that testimony really resonated. Also, at the end, just to be funny, the judge had let the jury go and actually had to send the bailiffs running after them because he changed the time from 9:30 to 10:30. So that was kind of funny from the day. Just a little anecdote from court, y'all. But it's kind of interesting to see how all the big players have left. There's no Nancy Grace here anymore or anything like that. It's a much smaller courtroom now. Real quick, I'm going to answer this because I see it from Memphis Tiger. Question: what made the wife angry? I think it was a lot of the financial testimony. But okay, so let's get into the speculation portion of this stream, if y'all don't mind, because I've gone through pretty much all of the observations and things like that, and now we can get to like rumors and all the tea and everything. I personally believe that John Marvin's wife is not buying into the whole defense. I personally believe when she looks angry, she seems to be looking angry in their direction, straightforward at him or at his defense. And she's visibly angry at times. And her crying, I mean, when Maggie's sister, and I've seen her not in court a lot, to be honest, but in here this time and crying specifically during that testimony, which of course anyone would, but I didn't see Lynn, Alex's sister, crying, but John Marvin's wife is crying, you know? But I think she's angry about everything that happened. I think she's angry at whoever did it. I don't want to say that I think she believes one side or the other, but no matter who did it, I think she's angry that this happened. And I think that she's angry that this is happening to the family. I will say, I do think that the family cares for each other. I think that some family members experience love, some family members experience codependency or maybe just a familial connection, but I do feel like this is, the family, at least in the broader sense, is there for each other, as crazy and twisted as all of this might be. But in a way, they kind of are like, like a mafia-esque, and that's really just in a general, like, if you ever watch like what do they say, blood is thicker than water, that kind of thing. And I just feel like I don't mean, you know, the Murdaughs are like mobs at all, but I just mean like that mentality that blood is thicker than water, I feel like is definitely true with them. So it's sad to see, the ramifications that this has on all of them, but there's also a lot going on behind closed doors that I think we don't know about and that maybe they don't want people to know about. I mean, everyone has things like that. Now, I will say, I think it's interesting the judge didn't let the infidelity in. I think had the state pushed it a little bit further and had it not been 15 years ago, the judge would have included it. I mean, he was almost about to, I think, kind of on the cusp, and then he left himself and he came back in, and I think he thought about it further, but it's interesting that they are just talking about one infidelity because I have heard from multiple sources, very credible sources, and I will be very discreet in naming these people. So I will just say the first person is a family member of a elected official in South Carolina, so someone I trust. And the second person I'm going to reference is a very prominent, let's just say, attorney who is associated with one or more of the teams involved in this trial. And basically, what I've heard from them is that Alec has engaged in multiple discretions of infidelity, not necessarily maybe on the level of a full blown affair, but definitely on the level of seeing women, different women, let's just say maybe women of the evening, if that is a good way to put it to make it YouTube friendly. And I trust these people. Again, they're prominent people. And the story was told to me by the first person and then confirmed by the second person. So it's not even like I was told it by two people at a lunch here. I was told it by someone who I had met and then asked a friend of mine who I've known for a long time, and that's what I heard. I'm not saying that's fact. Take it for what it is, but that's what I know, and I think it's interesting that the state did not bring that up because the state knows this. The state knows this information. I know that they do based on the person, and I'm not gonna get, but you just trust me. I know that the state knows this information. So, I don't know if they can't bring it up just because it's too much messiness to bring into the case because maybe there is no legal precedent to involve it. I don't know. That is also why and I was going to talk about that at another time, but I think it is a good segue into cousin Eddie because I was asking around if they are going to have cousin Eddie testify, and I really don't think they're going to have cousin Eddie testify, even if the defense, for some reason, makes a mistake and brings up the opportunity to include him. And here's what I gather from this. Basically, cousin Eddie is not a credible witness, and bringing him up and asking him questions in any manner would be hard because of his issues, again, with credibility. And if you were the state and bringing him up to ask him questions, it would be quite easy for the defense to come in and poke holes in that. So I don't think we'll have cousin Eddie testify, just to let you all know. Now, Alec is a different situation. I think we might have Alec testify. I've been hearing that by good measure from Kits News, who I trust very much, as I've said. I also just think that if you are an innocent person, you should testify. I know that some of the lawyers I spoke to on a stream disagreed with me, but and maybe they'll tell, people, and of course, if you're even if you're innocent, you should never testify because, there's, something you could slip up or make a mistake or they can pin you on something. But in my attitude, if you're innocent and you have nothing to lose because you're already financially ruined, your wife and son are murdered. Oh gosh, I hope I don't get YouTube demonetized for saying that word. Anyway, you know what happened to, your wife and son, and the state that you have helped, the state that you have worked for decades, help prosecuting offenders and things like that, is now trying you for the crime. I would get up there and 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 testify. I would be so angry. I would I would say anything because I have nothing to lose and I have nothing to hide anymore. So the fact that, he wasn't doing that originally, I think is suspicious, and I think based on how the jury is reacting, I think the defense is going to try to put him up there on the basis basically that he is, I guess, a relatively competent attorney and will know what to say and what not to say. Now, you all can tell me what you think about that. I don't necessarily think that that is a great idea if you are a guilty person. So, I have feelings about I don't wanna say that I think that he's guilty. I wanna say that I think that he was involved. I think he was involved somehow, and he is lying about something. And I think if you are lying, you probably shouldn't go in court and also lie because, 1, if they catch you, you're gonna look real, real guilty, and 2, it's just never good to lie in court, of course. So again, let me know what you all think about that, and I'm sure the lawyers will have a very different opinion about this than me. But yes, and real quick, because I was rambling, but I want to get to the super chat or super sticker. Thank you. And shoot, I appreciate the 1,000 of you that have stayed on. I know we lost just a couple hundred, not much, but thank you all for staying with me so far. And if you don't mind, just smash this like button. And also hello to the replay crew as well. Oh shoot, I meant to open this in the beginning, y'all. My apologies to the rest of the world, by the way, because I know I put UK in my tweet, and to be honest, that's just my fault because I didn't realize that there were many other people following me. I think I have imposter syndrome still from the Johnny Depp trial. I just know that there were people from the UK, and a lot of people from the UK were interested in that, and I've seen them interact with me. But just real quick, hello to you all, no matter where you are in the world, whether it's the UK, Netherlands, Germany, Ghana, Japan, Brazil, South America, any continent, hello. Just real quick, by the way. But thank you. And yeah, if you don't mind just liking this, and I will try to answer some questions now and wrap this up relatively quickly. But I do want to answer a little bit more questions and then, talk more about what's going on if there's anything else y'all want to know. Just because we're pushing on 9:30 and I do have to get up for a day of court tomorrow again. Although we have a late day, so mark your clocks tomorrow because it's gonna be 10:30, not gonna be 9:30. So remember, if you have any questions, put Q or question mark or something like that for this stream and future streams. There are a good amount of them, so I'm gonna try to get through, but I also want to answer them as they come. I wish that StreamYard maybe had a little bit of a better setup for this. Olga wants to know if I know who laughed in the gallery towards the end of the day. There was a random person who laughed loudly. There were a lot of laughter at the end of the day. I think you're talking about the story I just told where everyone was laughing. So, oh shoot. Okay, so yes, let me real quick tell the story, the Poot hair story. And I apologize for people who wanted to know about this and have left the stream, but I want to get to this because it's kind of funny, and I'll tell you all for the people that haven't heard it yet. So I have had long, crazy hair for a while for different trials. I had it in the Johnny Depp trial, and I had it at the beginning of this trial, and I came to court like that. And apparently, it did not sit well with Dick Harpootlian because he had said something to basically another media representative. I'm not going to say what publication, a big national publication. Let's just say that. Um, One that I've read before. I used to read it in college. I had to read it for some of my classes. So, very well respected publication. And this person we were talking and they were like, "Oh yeah, Dick, he doesn't like your long hair. He wants to know who you are." And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, he just doesn't like, long hair and stuff in court." And I was like, "Okay, all right." And I went and got it cut. Now, I am not gonna say I got my haircut just for Dick Harpootlian. I did not do that, but I did need a haircut, and I'm gonna dye my hair soon because I owe it to y'all after doing that live stream charity fundraiser for the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, where we raised over $250,000. Kudos to everyone who was involved in that. Thank you very much. But basically, I cut my hair also because it's just I feel like a little more respectful in court, and if I'm gonna be doing any streams on anywhere, I just would rather have more of a clean haircut, especially with how windy it is out front of court. I was talking to Chanley from Court TV, and she was asking me, if I wanted to do a live interview, and I decided that I would get my hair cut, especially, you know, after hearing how Mr. Harpootlian felt. I don't want to get my media badge taken away. Can't have long hair in court, not in Hampton. So I don't know if y'all find that funny. I thought it was just kind of funny. Maybe I will grow it or put it in a man bun, and Mr. Harpootlian will even love that even more. Sorry. Yes, motions, things like that at 9:30, no jury. So, unless you if you all love to hear that kind of stuff, definitely. I was just saying the trial doesn't actually start until 10:30 because that's when the jury's going to show up. But also, what is y'all's interesting takes from the trial? What are your favorite moments? What are your least favorite moments? What do you think's been effective? What do you think's not been effective? because I want to bring feedback to the courtroom as well. I don't know if I answered this page. I think I talked about this, but I'll just answer the question. The jury liked him. Everyone loved Dale in the court. Everyone laughed with him at certain times. Everyone smiled with him. Oh, shoot. Let me address this. I don't think I laughed. I laugh nervously when I make a mistake or when I don't know what to say, and maybe I couldn't find the words to say for the next statement, so I laughed. So I apologize if anyone was offended by my laughter. But super chat from Janet, thank you very much. Finally catching a live with little old James from court. Following you since you met DUI guy. Great job, James. Sorry for the duplicate message. Super chats confused me. I did not see the duplicate message, so I apologize. I think we are all good. But oh, I see it up top. Well, no, thank you for the duplicate message then. I guess I mean, I appreciate that very much. This is going to go to my getting a new camera so y'all can see me and we can chat face to face. Fun. It was fun hanging out with DUI guy in court at the Johnny Depp trial, and it'll be fun hanging out with him again later this week. He was here last week and he will be back. Shoot, Eddie, I did already talk about my conversation with the Murdaugh brothers, but I can go into it a little bit more. Let me get through some more questions. And, if people still want to stay and hear more of the conversation or hear me retell it, I can do that. I do want more of LawTube to come to court. I would love for Ian and Peter. I told Kurt to come. I would love, Rob, if Rob could come. I think he was a lot of fun to have. I mean, it'd always be crazy if the queen showed up. I don't know. The court would freak out because a lot of people who show up in the gallery are actually fans of either podcasters or LawTube and stuff. And I think everyone would freak out if Emily came to court. Question from Generous. I like that. Generous. Uh, Question. Who is that guy sitting in front of you? Big guy, lots of silver hair, was wearing a purple tie today. Always has a legal pad taking notes. He's been there every day. Oh, yeah. I want to talk about this guy, y'all. So he is actually a former law partner of Mr. Harpootlian. And he comes to court every day. And he actually talks to the defense a lot, and they'll leave and he'll talk to other media people. I don't know. I don't want to get he's spoken to me. He talks to a lot of the other media people. I don't know if he's there to have a pulse on what's going on. I don't know if he's PR for the defense. I'm not sure exactly his role, or he's just a journalist now, but he is a former law partner of, you know, Dick Harpootlian. So, and he's actually currently representing. Wait, you all can tell me because you all will probably know this better than I do. He is representing someone important in one of the trials, actually, having to do with this. So it's just crazy. The whole thing, everyone knows each other. As I said, it's a weird, it's a weird courtroom. That one of the media people who's there is law partners or was a law partner with someone else and happens to be representing someone involved in the trial. Yeah. Blue Pearl Girl. You said it. You said it. I didn't say it. Julia H. Question. Do you know who's in charge of the law and crime feeds? Tell them not to cut the sound until the judge has left the courtroom. Listen, this might be something that they do for the judge's discretion or the court's discretion. I can talk to the producer. I do know them relatively well, but I don't know if they'll listen to me, of course. But that's good feedback, and I will I'll bring it up if I can. Haley from Maryland, thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much. It's hard because outside court, I think he's guilty, but the prosecution is doing such a terrible job for the jury to get a guilty verdict. I agree with you. I also feel like the jury is having a hard time keeping track of the narrative and the timeline, which makes it worse. And it makes it easy for the defense to poke holes in anything that the prosecution says. And I wouldn't say, and I get what you're trying to say, and for my feeling, it's not necessarily that he's guilty, although I have personal feelings about that I'll share after the trial. It's more so that I get the sense that he is involved in ways that we don't know about. And he's lied about things involving the trial. Now, I also get a weird feeling that there's more to the story than the prosecution has. And I don't like that feeling as well. You all know what I mean? So it's kind of it's a hard situation, and that's why the prosecution is not doing a great job because I feel like again there's more to the story that the prosecution isn't telling us, or maybe they just don't know it, you know? Teresa is behind on my hair story with Dick. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Yep, doesn't like long hair. But if you rewatch it this stream, or maybe I'll make a little video and I'll put it on YouTube and it'll be real clickbaity and it'll be like, Dick Harpootlian hates James's hair. Um, is this the end of James's court career? Question mark. And I'll have like my face and it'll be like photoshopped and I'll have Dick Harpootlian's face and it'll be photoshopped into a frown and I'll be like all super YouTube clickbaity. Maybe I'll do a video about that explaining the story. I'm just joking, of course, y'all, but that would be funny. Victoria says that the medical examiner quote was fantastic. You can disagree, but that doesn't change the truth. Yo, so y'all, this is actually what I wanted to put, and if I had prepared better, I would have made this PowerPoint far better. And this is the quote I would have had on the first page of the PowerPoint. I want to get this quote tattooed. I would love merch. If I put out merch, I'm putting this quote on my merch because I love it. You can disagree, but that doesn't change the truth. Hilarious. The court loved that. It was a good line, and I think I don't know what it was like being in Emily or Nick's stream at that time, but I can imagine it was fun, and I can imagine it was a funny moment. Question from Recovery Addict. Excuse me. I want to know if the General Motors GPS docs will be released in full. Listen, I hope so. I don't know what the point of that setup was. I think maybe just because that witness was in town from somewhere or had a busy schedule that they had to come in and get that out of the way. But I would have liked for them to set that up with then someone who examined that data and then tell us what the heck it means. So I don't know if they'll be released in full. We'll see. Or do you mean if they're going to be released as far as the evidence? I don't know what you mean, recovery addict. I'm not sure. But question from Court AU: can you tell us which lawyers on each side are the most and least liked by the jury? No, I don't know because I don't know for sure. I can't tell you 100%. I can tell you that there are 2 to 3 jurors who seem displeased with Harpootlian and Jim Green and have negative physical body movements, I guess I'll say, towards them and facial expressions. I see some that also have rather blank, apathetic stares towards prosecution. I will say there was one woman in particular who did not like the medical examiner, state prosecutor, companion, not companion. You know what I mean? The state prosecutor who did the questioning and the redirect for the medical examiner, the very tall fellow who has a rather odd disposition about him. I said this in Nick's stream in lunch. He talks very interestingly and he walks very interestingly. And I'll just say that. But this one juror, was looking him up and down, giving him like a mean mug. Now, this juror mean mugs everyone in the court. I'll say that. I mean, God forbid you lock eyes with this juror and they will stare you down. I think this is the juror who complained to the judge about me. So, side note, if you haven't heard this story, I am basically the talk of this courthouse. It's a small courthouse. There's probably less than 50 people, as I said earlier. And anyone, I mean, everyone, I'm sure, knows me from a few different situations. One is I innocently had my cell phone in my laptop bag. I didn't even bring it into court. I would never do that or have it on or anything like that. But I got in trouble for that. And then the second issue was during one of the breaks last week, the clerk of court came up to me and told me that I just needed to be more discreet when I was looking at the jury because the jury had complained that they felt intimidated by me watching them and had said something to the judge. And now the judge was watching me to see if I was trying to intimidate them. When it's like, no, I'm just trying to look at y'all for your facial expressions. I'm not trying to, I don't have any skin in this game, no skin. So I just thought that that was kind of interesting and funny and hilarious. Quick little story for you all. But basically, she, I think, is the one juror who complained because she has been mean mugging everyone. And that is a long way of answering Court AU's question about who I think the jury likes on the defense and prosecution teams. Rebecca, thank you for the super chat. Tell us about the single loud laugh at the end of the day. The single loud laugh. Now, it is this the very very end of the day because I did leave when I did leave right after Maggie's sister because I wanted to see when Maggie's sister and her husband left with John Marvin and John Marvin's wife. So I don't know about the single loud laugh. If you give me a timestamp, I will look in my notes and I will find that moment and what happened, and I can answer it that way. But you also have to remember, y'all, my memory is a little fried after a 9-hour day in court because I write down so much that happens that it's almost hard for me to remember even sometimes who testified and things like that. So forgive me sometimes for not being completely accurate. But I know it's getting late. It's almost 10 o'clock. I appreciate all of you being here. I can see we're starting to drop off. So I think people are getting tired. I don't blame y'all. I'm going to answer some more questions, get to anything else you want to ask me, and then, you know, we'll see each other tomorrow, of course. Hello to the replay crew and anyone who's watching this later, by the way. TBH Llama, you and DUI guys should come over to Bluffton and Hilton Head on the weekend. It's awesome here. Absolutely. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but if you're on Twitter, please follow me and maybe DM me or try to tweet under something and I'll DM you and maybe we can head out to Bluffton. I love Bluffton and Hilton Head. I'm actually in that area right now. That's where I am staying. Blue Jays question. Ask the brothers why Buster wasn't invited to Moselle, but only Paul and Maggie. Hmm. Interesting, right? I don't want to get into questioning them about the testimony, things like that, because I don't think they're going to tell me all the secret details, but maybe they will. Uh-oh. I'm seeing some comments I don't know. Debbie McName. Hi, first time on your stream. Thank you and welcome. From Southeast Pennsylvania. Interesting insight of what's going on in the courtroom. Thank you very much. I lived in Philadelphia for a little bit. I love Pennsylvania. It's a great place. I just learned that Maggie's family is from Pennsylvania as well. So, question from Grateful Edge. Because the area, and actually, just real quick, this is super helpful. I probably should have said this in the beginning. I will next stream. This is probably only my fifth stream ever, so I'm still getting the handle of all of this. I love this question with the red question mark and then the dash. Makes it super easy. You don't have to do it, but if you do it, I will definitely be able to see it easier. So I appreciate that. Because the area has a general small town feel, have you been able to gauge how the locals view Alex Murdaugh? Also, Poot reminds me of Elaine from Amber Heard Johnny Depp, hyperbolic lawyer. Actually, yes, there are similarities between Poot and Elaine. I feel like the way that they get on the judge's nerves is definitely one of them. But to answer your first part of the question, the locals have two very contrasting views of Alex Murdaugh. You have, and I would call this the few who are sympathetic towards him and his family because they are connected to them somehow. And really do not underestimate how many people in this area are connected to the Murdaugh family. During the jury selection process, we had multiple I was almost said witnesses, multiple jurors every single time who would come forward when asked, "Oh, are you related or do you know the family in any way?" And they would say, "Oh, yes, I do." And they would ask, "Okay, how do you know them?" And it would be like, "Oh, well, our grandparents were cousins, and I heard from my mom that, we were related, that I was we were related to the Murdaughs." So, my point is there are all sorts of people that come out to support the family. They go up and shake hands with them and talk to them and things like that. That is the few, however. I would say the majority are people that are interested in the trial. They come from different parts of South Carolina, or some of them locals as well, and they have a very negative feeling about Alex Murdaugh and the family. Very, very negative. South Carolina is a state where, you know, Southern hospitality is strong, but so is the rumor mill. I will say that. And the rumor mill has been long churning about Alex Murdaugh. And of course, there's been HBO specials, Netflix specials, Manny Matney's podcast, other podcasters, like someone I met today. Not met today, I met the first day and I was sitting with her today, but I forgot her podcast name. I do apologize to her for that. And on the piggyback of me apologizing, I'll address this to it's Audra D. And I don't know if this is about me apologizing, but I am a Canadian only in the sense that I do apologize too much. I will be the person that apologizes for apologizing. Loretta, I would love to know what Dick Harpootlian thinks of Runkle's hair. I don't know if it's too long. And Emily's hair, purple hair, I don't know how Mr. Harpootlian would feel. Too much for court, right? He can't handle it. Oh gosh, y'all, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I can't. No, I do wanna say, I don't think any of them are watching, especially an hour and 40 minutes into the stream. I should have addressed this in the beginning if any of the family members or defense or anything was watching, but I'm not trying to, say anything good or bad. I'm just giving my observations the best that I can, and I would love a statement from any of y'all. And I do think there's things that y'all could do better. So that's why LawTube and all of us exist, and you can tap in and get a sense of what the public is thinking in our chats, in our streams, from our creators. They really have a good pulse on the community and what the jury could possibly be thinking. And you can tell me what you all think in the chat, but I do not love the way that the family has handled their public relations with this, and especially Alec. I don't love everything that defense has done the entire time either. Okay, MB is answering my questions from earlier. He's representing one of the boys in the boat case, and that is about the man who sits in front of me with the white hair, which his hair is also kind of long too. So, I mean, not like mine was crazy long, but still. Question from Olga. Who is a young guy like directly 3 rows in front of me? Young guy, always taking notes. I don't know. 3 rows in front of me. Oh, you're probably talking about the newscaster dude. I don't know which one, and I don't know how young you mean because I don't notice any like teenagers in there. But do you mean like 20s? Let's get some few more questions here. And again, for all of you still here, thank you. If you want to give this video a like, just real quick reminder, I do have a Cash App and PayPal if you don't want to do all of the super chat stuff. I am going to use all my money to one, I mean, just I pretty much have covered the trial with my own funds, which is fine. And I think if it only stays another week, I should be fine. But I would love to get a new camera. That's not something I budgeted in my normal profession. So I'm going to use all this YouTube extra, funds now. So if you want to support me with that, I will get a camera and lighting and I will talk to you all face to face. So you'll be able to see me and that'll be fun. Buffy, thank you for the super chat. This will go to my camera fund. What's required for Media Pass? Did you apply before? I did apply before, and listen, it was hard. I jumped through hoops for this Media Pass for sure. Not only by talking to the right people and not purposely making friends with certain people, but just by sitting close to them and making friends with them, learning who they were days later, and then them doing very nice favors for me by introducing me to people and vouching for me as being a good person. That's basically what got me Media Pass. Also, I cleaned up coffee that had spilled in front of the clerk of court, and I went to the bathroom multiple times and got paper towel and cleaned up the coffee that she had spilled, and some of the sheriffs saw, and she obviously was there. That helped. I also think wearing a suit every day helped. It helps. But they are very strict. There is one super hardcore gatekeeper in the courtroom, and he does not like me. They spray he actually s so the issue with my cell phone before was really innocent. My phone was turned off. I would never in a million years record or text in court, unlike actual witnesses and attorneys of those witnesses and other people who are texting in court and tweeting in court, which I think is inappropriate, but whatever. I would never dream of that, but of course, I had a little bit of an issue. But this guy who didn't like me probably still doesn't like me. It's probably also had to do with my long hair as well. I don't blame him. Or not that I don't blame him. I don't doubt that that was, a contributing factor because I think is friends with Dick Harpootli and I see them talking a lot. Anyway, this person had told people in behind my back and in front of me that I actually had my phone out inside of court, which never happened because I didn't even get past security. I had it in my laptop bag and they basically sent me back to my car. I never made it past security with my phone. So he's going around telling people that I actually have my phone out. Anyway, long story short, I don't think he likes me very much, and he was giving me a hard time about having a media pass. I understand where they're coming from. They want people with credentials, so I guess what that's being part of a union, some sort of or maybe like a credential where you pay like a fee, right? Like a news credential organization. I probably should know what this is. Again, my background is not in journalism. It's in economics and analytics and law and stuff, so it's not. I mean, I just started covering the trial for fun. I feel like I'm a good analyst and I'm good at reading people and stuff. And it was fun watching the streams of the Johnny Depp trial, of the pre streams with Emily D. Baker. And I wanted to go see it for myself. So I don't know about the organization specifically that gives media accreditations, but they're very strict about that. So if that's what you're looking for, you got to be part of a news organization. That was a really long way to answer just a simple question. I'm sorry about that, but I'm not sorry that I'm sorry. Jennifer says that the state case has done nothing but more confusion. I have questions, lots of questions. We all have questions, Jennifer. All of us in court have questions all the time, all the time. Question and statement from Katie. The camera on Alex is blinding a lot, so I think that needs more attention. Yeah, I think that's the nature of the court and the lighting and stuff. It's kind of weird, but I don't see the feed, so I don't know exactly what you're talking about, to be honest. It's hard. I can't go to court all day for 9 hours and then watch the streams for 9 hours. As much as I wanna watch Emily D. Baker after I get back, and I say, this is kind of the saddest thing about me being here, even though I love being in court and reporting for you all. It's kinda sad I don't get to actually watch the streams because I love seeing the lawyers' reactions and opinions on everything. Julia, question. Cash is with his owner. Bubba is with Blanca. Who has Grady and Armadillo? And some of the other pups? I don't know. Maybe I should ask the Murdaugh family. That would be a good, innocent question to ask them, wouldn't it? I think that would be a nice question to know, actually. Please, if you're still here and you haven't yet, hit that like button. Thank you very much. I'm sure most of you have by now, and I appreciate the supporters that are here. I appreciate y'all that came from Rob and Law and Lumber and stayed for some of the extra tea. Please always feel free in the comments after I post this video to give me any suggestions. You know, if my audio's to this or you can hear something or whatever, I am not what is the word? I'm humble enough, of course, to take criticism and advice. I think that's the right word. I'm not too proud. I'm not too proud for criticism. That's what I mean to say. Okay, good to know from Aaron that y'all laughed with at an Emily stream. Super chat, thank you from Meg Doug. Would you want to interview Harpoolian after? I mean, why not, right? Tell me what you all would want to ask, and I'll ask him. If you all want me to interview Harpootlian, I'll interview Harpootlian. Let me put it that way. So you all can tell me. Question from Generous again. Are you getting some good food while you're there? Will you be craving a certain dish a year from now when you tell yourself, man, I could really go for one of those blanks right now? Great question, actually. Super good question, because this actually happens to me a lot with food in particular. I would say I had some really good barbecue from this one truck. I had fantastic potato salad from the same truck, and the same truck also has a mean brisket chili. And I think the potato salad and brisket chili I definitely will be thinking about. Otherwise, I don't love all of the food trucks, to be honest with you. I want to answer this question because actually is something that bothers me, and I should have brought it up, and I will bring it up when I'm more organized. Aaron, do I say Aaron, I think? Okay, Aaron M. Town or Iron, no, Aaron M. Town. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong, but anyway, excuse me. How about the touchy-feely prosecutor who gets too close to all the witnesses? Everyone is too touchy-feely, aren't they? And not just the prosecutor. I mean, the prosecutor going up and touching and all that, odd, inappropriate, don't like it at all. But what about with the defense as well? Having, okay, take this stick and poke it in this guy's neck. I mean, come on, it's just weird. This whole thing is weird, you know? The mom to three. How are the people in the area judging the trial? Guilty or not guilty? I think I might have answered this, but I would say most people feel he's guilty. There are people that don't, and I feel like those people are connected to him in some way or know people that work for him or his family or something like that. But the general sense I get from everyone I talk to in South Carolina that he is guilty. And no, I think I'm fitting in here. I'm making friends. I like the people. The people are very kind. It's just this is a court in an area where people are used to running it, and they're used to knowing everyone in and kind of making all the rules. And when there's people that don't really follow the rules or new people, new faces, it's a little new, and they want to flesh you out and figure you out. Real quick, 1 second, answer more question. Oh, let me get to some of these super chats real quick. Sorry, like a Canadian. Sorry, because that's what I should be saying. How saying it, since I apologize so much. All right, from Ren Pilak. Pilak? Pilak or Pilak? Thanks for all you do. Stay wonderful. Right back at you, Ren. A Sparky 2. Thanks, James. You will do good, young man. Thank you. Thank you, Sparky. Super generous. Wow, very much so. Awesome. Thank you for that. Surya Black. Are any of the women jurors reacting to the good old boy antics of the lawyers? 100%. 100%. And there are multiple of the jurors, although two of them are out, but multiple members of the jury are of the same age, and they're women, so they're women of the same age that Maggie would have been, and I think that's kind of significant. One of the jurors actually kind of looks like Maggie's sister to me. She's got white hair, similar facial structure, very similar ages. So I think it's hard, especially with those testimonies of the CFO and the caretaker and how they were kind of treated by Alec. I think that really resonates with the female juror members who are of the same age as not only the witnesses, but also the Maggie. Excuse me. Steve Robertson, glad you're able to make some money on YouTube. Can't wait for your channel to develop. Have Arcada's guy make you some cool banners. Heck yeah, Steve. Thank you. I appreciate that. Absolutely. And I I want my channel to grow as much as you all want, and I want to report on things that you all find interesting, and I value feedback greatly, and I'm always would love help, and I appreciate Rikita and his team. So heck yeah. StreamYard freezing the chat a little bit. Let me get from Clout Goblin. Hey there. What were you looking at this afternoon during Maggie's sister? You kept looking past Jim. Huh. Past Jim. So I was looking past the lawyer. In which direction? Because most likely I was probably looking right at the family. I was watching the family a lot during this, but I could have been watching the judge, or there is there is one of the bailiffs who sits over in that corner, and I think she was, like, looking at me, so I was getting paranoid, I kept looking at her, but if you tell me, Clout Goblin, which direction, Jim was at that point, was he by the witness or was he by the defense, Alec? Yeah, tell me which side. Was he by Maggie's sister or by Alec? And then I can tell you who I was looking at. Haley from Maryland, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Uh, she says, "Yeah, I just moved from around there, and food isn't spectacular. Barbecue is your best bet." No disagreements or arguments with you there. Thank you for the super chat, Fayette, for camera or food. Just wanted to thank you. Well, I just want to thank you, and it will go to both. I will do. How about this? I'll do the first in. What is it? First in, first out method. So $10 will come in and go to food, and $10 will go to camera. How about that? And we'll see what the forensic accountant has to say about that. Right? Laura, thank you. Lori, oh, sorry, long day. Lori, thank you very much as always. I will get you those pictures of the food truck for sure and reviews. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll make like a locals or something during this or for Instagram. This might be a good post for Instagram, but you'll know when I do that, Lori, for sure. And shout out to real quick, Lori, Secret Mix Squirrel, and Against the Tide, who are helping me out right now. 3 people who I do really appreciate, who give me good advice and help me. And just all of you out there, I've said this probably 4 times now, 5th time. Feel free to give me any advice in the comment section. I always look forward to knowing how to improve. AP 175, question for Poot. Ask him why Alex needed his insurance card before the roadside shooting if his plan was to be dead. Yeah, I'm gonna walk up to Poot and ask him that. Poke a hole right in his defense, right? It's a great question. I would love to ask him that. And after this trial, if I have the cojones, I will do that. uh, Teresa Bear, right underneath. I wonder about the screens and cardboard. My question is, why don't they just turn the screen off? Yes, the cardboard is a weird addition, I'm noticing. JNS family wants to know why people are afraid of the family and wants to express their love for me and thank you for the kind words. People used to be very afraid of this family, I think just because of their political connections, and I don't know if people are physically afraid of them or afraid that, like, they'll end up in traffic court, if they dare to go against them, but I think with the mysterious deaths that have happened and how the Murdaugh family got away with it, I think people became increasingly fearful of them and the power that they had, but I wouldn't say that people are necessarily that scared of them, to be honest. I don't think it's that kind of situation. I think it's just sensationalized. Now, I will say that they did run the county with an iron grip. There was a story from an elementary school teacher I met at lunch, and she was brand new a few years ago, or maybe it was more than a few years ago, but she's brand new to the county. And within a year, she had been one of the top performing teachers in the county. And it was such a big deal that the state came down. They did a thing about it. They asked her to give, I don't know if it was seminars, but, uh, basically outline the things that she had done to have such good metrics. And after she had, you know, outperformed in her role, she wanted to move to another county where she could make, she said, 30,000 more dollars. And when she went to speak with some of her, I guess, colleagues or superiors about doing it, they said, "Well, and I'm forgetting her name, but it was Alex's mother. They said to her, Mrs. Murdaugh is the school board. Like, you're never gonna get a job. She likes you, and she needs you here in this county because obviously this teacher made the county look really good, improving their numbers. And basically, she was told like, you're never gonna find a job in the surrounding counties if you even try. So that's the kind of power that this family had. and that's the kinda grip that they had over everyone. I don't know if it's so much as a physical fear for their life or that kind of, like, icky, messy corruption, but yeah. Super chat from Pam Myers. Don't forget, Harpootlian is also a state senator. Don't get too close. He may rub off on you. A state senator. Let me just reiterate that, which is not a senator. And I do want to say I'm not really scared of these people at all. I have no skin in this game. I'm from a different state. Listen, the Murdaugh family might be powerful here. Dick Harpootlian might be powerful here, but not in my state. They have nothing to do with where I'm from. And frankly, I'm not intimidated at all. Super chat from Cleo, super generous. Thank you very much. Cleo7, sorry, but you need food, not from a food truck. Thank you for all you do for us listeners. Yes, I do need food from not from a food truck. Also, the food truck food is wildly overpriced. Um, which, good for them. They're trying to make money here during the trial. Not going to blame them, but I think I do need actual food for the trials. I'm going to start making like maybe even just peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with some fresh fruit and carrots and things like that would be a far better option than some of the food that I'm eating now. I mean, today I had, I don't even, yeah, not feeling well after eating today. Jeanette wants to know if the jurors are working class. I would assume at least four of them seem to be, without being too stereotypical, seem to be some sort of working class. I also would love to go through my notes and coordinate the number of each juror with the number that was given during the jury selection process so I know what their actual profession is, and then I can actually say what class they're in. Lady in Black wants to know if I can ID the alt jurors on my list. I can't. I apologize. I don't know who are the actual jurors and who are the alt jurors. Jane wants to know if I watched the behavioral panel. They did a review of Alex's first police interview. I haven't. I got to watch all of these different takes on the trial and everything, but I try to go into it really without knowing a lot and then learn more throughout the trial. Let me grab some more questions here. Appreciate y'all for sticking through. Any questions you have, of course, ask. And if I didn't get to your question, you can ask again. Don't spam it like crazy, but because I'm behind on questions and they actually come through quite quickly, I might miss some as well. I'm seeing this chat here from Alicia or Alicia. Alicia, I'm always open to help. I do love this little avatar that I'm using. It was from the Johnny Depp trial. Someone on Twitter who I haven't seen tweet in a while, and I messaged them, and I hope that they get back online. Uh, they made a entire graphic of all the LawTube Johnny Depp trial contributors, and I thought that that was really cool, and I loved it a lot, and I made it my avatar. So if any of y'all have fun talents, things like that, I always love, I'll make it my picture or, my banner, things like that. I love to see that kind of stuff, and I enjoy help, and I will get in touch with you or you can get in touch with me for sure. My Instagram is also James from Court to answer Olga question right here. So James from Court on pretty much everywhere except TikTok, where it is real James from Court because someone made a fake James from Court during the Johnny Depp trial and they named it James from Court before I actually made a TikTok, and that was very unfortunate and very sad. And also I got impersonators, which is part of the reason why I wanted to be verified, which was also not fun, having people scam your followers for money and impersonate you during a trial. Question from Dogny. Are jurors allowed sweaters, cushions, footstools, any comfort personal things? Yes, they are allowed. I would say shawls is what I see. They have like blankets and shawls type things because it is freezing in the courtroom. Sterling, question: do you plan to individually track jurors' reactions in the manner you did for the Depp Heard trial? I really enjoyed your heavy juror tracking. I do that. I do that for this trial. It is more difficult for several reasons. First reason, the jurors sit in a new spot every time. So I have to make a key for who the juror is and then also a key for where that juror sits. And every time they come back from a break, it's a different seating arrangement. So it's much more difficult to say. Also, now the jurors are wearing masks, which makes it more difficult. The jurors in this trial are also a lot less expressive, so I have made notes of particular jurors that I have noticed, and maybe the problem is I haven't been as clear about the different jurors and who they are and what they look like. Like in the Johnny Depp trial, you had juror 9, and we always knew it was um, the middle-aged Asian man, and we knew that he did not like Amber's team. Where there was a whole, I didn't say Asian, there's a whole debate. What was he? Was he? People said he could have been from the Philippines. People said he could have been Pacific Islander. There's a whole thing. But anyway, point being, he did not like Amber's team, and it was very visible. It's a lot harder with the jurors in this trial. One, because I think of the seriousness and the nature of the trial and the subject matter, but also maybe it's just South Carolina and they're taking it, with a little bit more. I think the Johnny Depp jurors were kind of just like, this is entertaining, it's fun, we're here, let's like, make a thing out of it a little bit. But this trial, I feel like the jurors maybe not only, I don't want to say take it more seriously, but have more of a serious disposition about them, I guess would be the right way to say it. So it's harder to track them individually, is my point. But I have been tracking a few, and I actually have interesting nicknames for them. So I can share those nicknames maybe towards the end of the trial or after the trial because again, and this is the third or fourth reason why I don't track them individually and share their demographic info as much as I did during the Johnny Depp trial. And that reason is because they are much more finicky and what's the word? They're sensitive. This jury is very sensitive, and I don't want to cause any trouble by them thinking I'm trying to like dox them or share too much personal information. But I actually do have a lot of fun nicknames for them based on their physical appearances, and it's more so like what kind of celebrity they look like and what they wear and things like that. So I'll share that probably more towards the end of the trial, if not after the trial. Question from Teresa: do you notice any reaction from the jurors when Dick gets graphic? I mean, the graphic nature of the medical examiner testimony was difficult for some of the jurors to handle. Absolutely. There was one juror in particular who had a trouble looking at him during this time. Question from Dogny: are jurors allowed sweater? Oh, I already answered that. I apologize. Shoot. Let me go back down and see if there's more questions. Did I miss super chats? If I miss super chats, they've got to be all the way up or all the way down, and I do apologize. I don't want to miss those. Question from Rebecca: can you pull up Brandy's timeline on the stream? I could do that. Uh, yeah, let me see if I can do that. If anyone wants to see it, you know what? That might be a lot. It's already a 2-hour stream. I really want to go through the timeline. I do apologize, Rebecca. We'll get to that at another time because that's just opening a whole another hour. And I don't think y'all want to go to 11:30. St. Pat wants to know if I have seen Alex look at any of the graphic photo evidence. He's looked over in that direction. I think they've done a good job at making sure that he can't see it. I've only been able to see like colors kind of at the angle that they're showing, so even I can't really see it. Question super chat from Glow T. Thank you. James, please be careful. I do not trust that family. Why will the brothers will want to talk to you? I don't know. I mean, maybe they are just being nice. Maybe they were just curious about the food. I don't think so. I think we all know that. Anyway, um, no, I think it's more so they're just getting a feel of who I am, what I'm doing there. Again, I'm not scared. I mean, I don't know. I guess if my car goes off the road on my way back to Florida, y'all will know. Uh, you feel me? I have one more super chat I know I'm missing, and it's up here somewhere. I'm gonna get to it. If it's the last thing I do. I apologize. All I see is an A. Whatever your name is, A, I'm trying to find you. Super chat. This is my dedication. My dedication to you all. I want to answer every question I can. No stone unturned. Here we go. No. Wait. Oh, I did get it already. A Sporky. It's just lasting longer. All right. So I clearly don't know what I'm doing. And that was just. But again, thank you. I feel you, Pat. It's getting to that time, isn't it? Julia 543. Keep in mind next Monday you'll be off and can take a break or have a longer stream that day. Good point. Yes, remember everyone, Thursday this week is going to be a shorter day. We'll resume court on Friday and then we will be off on Monday for the holiday. And maybe we'll do a big fun. How about that? We'll do a big fun stream that day where I'll invite everyone and hopefully some of our fun friends from the LawTube community can join and we can all have a good old time. Otherwise, I always love hopping on with our different creators during the lunch breaks and after because, I like talking to everyone. And hello from the lawyer, if you're here from his stream, I do want to engage with him more for sure because we have not had a lot of opportunity to talk. Mary G, question: how much longer do you think this trial will go on? My opinion is that it has at least 2 weeks. I'm thinking the first week in March. Okay, Mary, don't do this to me. Mary, please, Mary. I don't know if you have psychic abilities or if you can manifest things, but not March. Although I know Larry wants Larry, the DUI guy, won for it. But it's been a long trial. We tried to ask the Attorney General how long this trial would last today in court during one of the breaks. And he gave, a very run-of-the-mill political answer that you could have guessed yourself. I basically the only thing I can do is repeat his answer, and that is hopefully they will wrap up this week, and then defense will only take a week, and that would be lovely. I don't know if it'll take longer for defense. We can only hope, and we can only hope that other information isn't involved, and we can only hope that there's not a delay from COVID because COVID could cause a serious delay, and I really hope that that doesn't happen. All right, I'm seeing that I'm having some audio issues, I think. It was breaking up, audio cutting out. Sorry, yep, crackling up. It's happened before. Happens with, I think, my laptop. But I think it should be better. Yeah. I think it's the Chinese drone. It's the balloon. what can I say? Dick Harpootlian is sending he's involved with the Chinese, and they are interrupting our live streams. I know Larry had issues, and what can I say? That's just how it is. It's the spy balloon. Yeah. It's also partly, I think, this microphone, it drains the battery on my laptop, and when the laptop gets low battery, it starts to get crazy. Now I have my laptop plugged in, but the amount that the microphone drains from the laptop is greater than the charge. But you know what? It's more fun to say that it's Dick Harpootlian, and I think that very well could be part of it. Poot it on my stream. Oh, y'all are so funny with these puns. We got to meme this trial. I would love to see some good memes coming out of it, you know? But we're coming up on 2 hours and 16 minutes. And I know that's kind of around the time that YouTube likes to cut things off as far as the algorithms and everything like that. But I see these coming in, and I do appreciate this. It's TJ Talk, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, James. Let's all help this man get a better mic. Glad to see your channel's growth. Yes, yes. If you don't want to have me have cringe issues like one, no visual, and two, a crackly mic sometimes, and weird connections, then please help me out become a better content creator. Um, and I will use all of my purchases and improvements in this field of YouTube creation to give you all what you want: better content, more independent reporting, the truth and behind the scenes information, court, and anything else. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I will do it for as long as I can, for as long as you want me to. Get a microphone. You're awesome. I got to know. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, y'all will help with these with, this is what I'm gonna do now that I'm continuing to cover trials. Because, oh, the next trial is obviously gonna be the Brian Koberger trial, which is gonna be a big one. But I am going to go to the defamation lawsuit between Samantha Markle and Meghan Markle because, and I, again, don't get me involved in the royal stuff. I'm an American. My family has been here for many, many generations and very proudly not royal. So I don't want to comment on their family, but I love Nate, the lawyer, and I dislike Boozy. And Boozy is involved in this trial. Christopher Boozy, he was involved in the Amber Heard trial, created all of these false reports, and I'll make a video about him. He is involved in this defamation trial. Nate, our friend, Nate, the lawyer, is involved in this trial, and that's why I want to attend. So, also, maybe the Daybell trial. I don't know about Sarah Boone. I don't actually know what's going on with that, but I would like to look into that. And if there's any other trials, please let me know because I'm always trying to see what you guys want me to check out as well. And with that, because it is 10:30 and it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, we have been going on for a good amount of time. I appreciate all of you for, one of my first, I would say, week of official live streaming because I didn't do any live streams during the Johnny Depp trial. I just streamed with other people and made videos. But Audrey T, Audrey D, thank you for the super sticker. I don't know what the super sticker is, but thank you for it. I can't see it on my end. It just says super sticker, but I bet it is cool. And hello, Kurt. Ah, Kurt just got here. Oh my gosh! Of course, Kurt. Is this what you do? I'm just, I'm. Everyone say hi to Kurt. Uncivil Law, good guy, great content. Fun perspective. But MB's got it right here, just signing off. Oh gosh, okay, it's fine. I'll stay on for a little bit more. I love chat. Um, unless y'all want me to leave because you guys are tired as well. But I'm gonna take one small bite of this while I see what Kurt says. Kurt, you want to come on? You want to talk and carry the stream while I eat? That could be fun. Hempland, Hempland, Texas. Thank you so much for another super chat. Very, very generous. Thank you. And I will keep doing things my way. Hempland, Texas says that Letitia Stotch trial in Colorado in March is big. All right, I will look into that. I will look into that. All right, I'm sending the link to Kurt. Okay, here we go, Kurt. Here we go. Elam says no. Go to sleep. I know. Well, the replay crew. This is gonna be longer than. I'll send this to Kurt 1 second. Well, this will be a bonus, an extra bonus for y'all, right? If you want to get all the fun chit chat with me and Kurt, we'll get on. All right, let me get to. All right, sending it. Why is this being so buggy? Probably because of stream. Okay. All right, my friend Kurt, it is sent. The link is sent, and we will see. I don't even know how. I guess it'll show him pop up, right? In like a little waiting room thing, and then I'll admit him. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Okay. And Olga, real quick question. Did you watch Daryl Book's trial? I did. I watched it on Emily's stream or Katie's stream, the other ones.
1, 2. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hello. I can hear you now.
Excellent. How's it going?
How are you? You are live with us.
Good. Everything is good.
Good. Thank you for jumping on at the last minute. I was about to jump off, by the way. I feel like you did this on purpose.
And it could well be. So how is my home state of 20 years treating you, James?
It's awesome. Great barbecue, great Southern hospitality.
Did you go to Duke's?
Weather than I would have liked for this time.
Did you go to Duke's?
No, not yet, but I'm gonna make a point. I'm in Hilton Head right now because I had to go back home to Florida for the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna make my way to Charleston. Larry's coming in town. We're gonna stay in Walterboro, and then maybe I'll take him to Duke's.
You got to go to Duke's.
And where is this again?
It's in Walterboro.
Where in Walterboro?
I can look it up. It's been a while since I've been there.
I didn't see it, man. I will definitely go. I'm sorry.
Duke's Barbecue and Grill.
Okay, I will go. We'll go when Larry comes in. Are you coming? Are you going to come to this trial?
No, I'm not. And I think in retrospect, I'm happy I didn't. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's right there in Walterboro. It is 949 Robertson Boulevard, Walterboro, South Carolina. Check it out. Okay. Yeah. Wow. But no, I'm not gonna. I was thinking about coming, but no, probably not so much. I'm kind of glad I didn't, at least in retrospect, because I've been dying watching the trial and contemplating the fortune of Maggie and Paul because they didn't have to sit through and watch this.
Yeah, right.
That was a questionable joke, but I went there, so humor for the crowd, dark humor. But yeah, I've been really annoyed by this trial the whole way through, and now we're getting into further extremities about the shooting on the side of the road and whether or not that's coming in, which of course it is,
Mhm.
because this judge doesn't seem to recognize that 403 exists. So,
But they
yeah.
brought it up, man. They brought it up. No?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been tedious. Um I don't really know that maybe it's you can tell me because you've been sitting in the courtroom and you've been there and you've gone to feel the room and see the people testify. Has any of this been doing anything for you on any level, James?
Yes and no. So, be more specific. I apologize.
Like okay, I mean we'll ask the question this way on a scale of 0 to 100, how sure are you that he's guilty based on the evidence in court?
50 or oh gosh, I'm not sure. I don't know what to say percentage. I'm not sure that he's guilty. I will say that. But I am sure that he was involved.
So let me
In
put it to you
some
this way: if you were on the jury right now, and I understand that you necessarily haven't seen everything because they've been shielding some of that even from the gallery, but if you were on the jury right now, based on what you have seen, are you a no? Are you a no vote?
Ah, me as
Come on, James, pick a side. Yes or no, James? What's it going to be, James?
and I don't know anything that's happened before. I don't know about the Stephen Smith. I don't know about Mallory Beach. I don't know anything.
You're not supposed to know. You're only supposed to know what's being brought in at court.
Okay.
So the only things that you could know are the things brought in court. So I'm willing to give you
Gosh,
a bit of a buy for exhibits that you haven't seen because they haven't been displayed to the gallery. But you're not supposed to know any of those things. That's the whole point, right?
that's fair. Yeah. Although I wonder about that. But all right, I don't know. I guess I mean to be honest, no. I guess I can't, but
There you go. Yeah.
I don't
I
know
I
because no what? Sorry.
no, it's just like I agree with you. I'm a strong no vote. I
But
don't really see this.
that's only based on just the things that they're bringing up and just the evidence, but I feel
That's
like
the
a
way it's
lot of
supposed to be,
their
James.
what?
That's a very strange explanation. That's only based on the things presented at the court trial. Yes.
Yeah, but humans are humans and jury members,
Well, humans suck.
yeah, I think they're gonna vote a lot on character, but I do think you're gonna have 1 or 2 that will not convict him because the evidence isn't there. I do think you're gonna have a holdout personally. I don't know, I don't wanna say that because I know a lot of people really wanna see him convicted. A lot of people really wanna see that, guilty verdict. I'm just, I'm a little skeptical.
I kind of hope it's not guilty just for the extra Schadenfreude of value, because I'm going to laugh in the state's face pretty hard.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I don't know about that, but
Well, I mean, they are the
litigating my
state, so
voice.
if they can't get it done with all their resources and all their energy, they
No,
deserve
that's
everything that's
fair.
going on.
And that'll be a wake-up call and a good learning lesson for them because I mean, I don't know if they weren't prepared for this or if they are purposely not doing this as well, but I have some issues with the way that they've conducted this trial, that's for sure.
Do you have a good sense from what's presented in the courtroom what the state's overall story or narrative is? Do you understand what they're arguing their thesis of the cases?
No. Nope. No clue. I apologize.
No, you're not,
I
I don't either. I ask you these questions on the hope that maybe your answer will be different for me. You'd be like, yes, I understand it. And then I'd be like, ooh, can you tell me what that was and how you understood it? And you'd be like, yes, I understand because the state said this, state said this, state said this, and it's all driving a weave of narrative of this. And I'm like, oh, I missed out on that. So I ask
no.
you the question in the hope that the answer is other than what I expect, because I might learn something.
No, I mean, it's partly a joke. I could explain because I have been able to take actual notes and things like that, but it's extremely hard to piece it together and to follow. I mean, the general narrative is that he, I guess, shot both of them, picked up her phone, wrapped. I mean, and I've seen the timeline too. So part of this happens, because I talked to people in the media, people about the different timeline, and then I saw it online as well, the Excel spreadsheet. But I would just say, without seeing that Excel spreadsheet, he shot them. Then he went to his mom's house, or he
Hmm.
went to his mom, and then he tried to tell the caretaker that he was there for longer, where that was later, and then he went back, but then he threw the phone after he went there. Oh, but
Yeah.
then he washed the jacket off there, and then, I'm joking, but you get it, people? Like, this is how hard it is to put it together. I have a good general sense of what happened, but it's so, it's hard to put together, you
Did
know?
you enjoy fun with large numbers? Did you know before what this trial started what a sextillion was? Or did you get to learn that in the courtroom?
That was so crazy. There was one of them that was insane, the number they used. I don't know.
Eh,
What was the point of that? What was the point? If you can't see me, and soon I'm gonna get a camera so you can see me. I'm doing the Italian hand signal because my family's Italian. I'm like, what is the point of these?
yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Well, if you wanna switch to gear talk, we can do that. As I've mentioned to you, what I use for my home studio is the Sony Alpha 5100. It's a 1080 webcam, or 1080 camera proper. Um, they are not as cheap as they used to be. I got it for $200 off Craigslist. Thanks to the coronavirus boom and everything else, they're a little bit harder to come by. But I've
Mm,
been really, really pleased with the Sony cameras. You get There's something like 20 something megapixel. You put the Sigma lens on there. It looks, and I think it looks fantastic. So I've been really, really pleased with the Sony stuff. And so if you want a real camera, that's what I'd get. I get the Sony. I get some sort of Sony APC camera. If you got
okay.
$800, then get the ZE10 or whatever it's called. I have it tagged on my Amazon page. If you want a
Okay.
link.
Yeah, I saw. Emily had hers is crazy. She got all these lenses and stuff, but I don't need all that. But I saw in her bio thing, I really like yours, and I like Rob's, and I like Emily's setup. The three of you have really good camera and visual and stuff. So I'm gonna look up. You said Sony ZE10 or the APC.
It's well, APC is just the crop sensor because the
Oh, okay.
APC is the sensor technology. So there's a lot of Sony APC cameras, but the Sony, I'd have to look it up what it is. But I have it tagged on my Linktree page. So if you go to Linktree/uncivil law, there's a link to my Amazon page, and on my Amazon page, I have it tagged with the exact model. If you want to look it up there, the one I have
Okay.
tagged is a 4K. But you would not stream in 4K because it's a lot of bandwidth and a lot of file size that you just really don't need. 1080, I think, is more than enough. So I'm quite happy with my 5100,
Yeah, well, I would be
which works
too. It
great.
looks great. It looks really good. The quality is awesome, and I love the lights. The lights you have, and more so like the color combination. I love that, the purple with the teal. It
Yeah.
looks good.
So this is, I believe this is blue analogous because I
Mm,
was looking for. So all I did there to set up the colors behind me, I have overhead lights that are above, and then I have a light below my kitchen counter and a light in the kitchen cabinet. So I've got three sets of lights. So I got 3 points on a color wheel. And so what I have right now is I have the overhead lights set for blue, like regular blue, and then the two closest colors on the color wheel for analogous colors. So that's where you get this shade of purple and this lighter shade of blue. Those are on a 12-point color wheel. On a
okay.
12-point color wheel, those are the three colors that are closest to each other, so that you get that set up. And then you can also do triad relationships where they're offset. So you do something like that. So now I have the overhead lights at purple and then green and then orange. So those are as far apart from each other as they can be. on
Oh,
a
cool.
12-point
Okay.
color wheel, so you get a more contrasting relationship of color. Magic of color in you. With your color wheel, you can do anything. It's wonderful.
I love that. That is new information. You learn new stuff every day.
Yes.
Now, do you have a background in production at all, or like lighting or anything, or you learned that or art?
No, I simply realized I had 3 sets of lights. Well, originally I just had regular lighting in here. I didn't have the lighting under the counter or the cabinet. And then I put in color changing bulbs in the ones ahead, and then I was like, "Oh, I can just put a light strip under the kitchen counter or in the thing like that, and they'll all look good." So, I can
Nice.
just kind
All right.
of do whatever I need to.
Well,
So,
yeah, it's working.
it does work. So you can just and then you just can do like different relationships. So if you just want like the way plain lighting, like so that's with plain lighting with all the lighting just set to just plain white.
Okay.
And so you can see how that looks. And then like you can do all kinds of interesting color relationships just by looking up color wheels.
Very nice. I like
Yeah.
that.
And then for the microphone right now, I've got the Rode NT1A, which is a nice basic condenser mic. I was thinking about getting a dynamic mic though, because the condenser mics are better for studio work. And if there's any external noise, it will pick it up. The condenser mics, because that's kind of what they're designed for. They pick up the widest possible sound range, which is really great if you have a sound treated room. Not so great if you don't. So like
Mm.
when I was on with Nick Stream and there was someone outside my house cutting cutting down trees, it picks up all that shit.
Oh shoot.
Whereas with the dynamic mic, which is also sometimes called a broadcast mic, they don't pick up as wide a range. But if you're just broadcasting and you don't need the level of sound quality that you'd have in a recording, then it doesn't really matter too much.
Okay. Okay.
So, but we can talk more details offline. This
No,
is
heck
this is
yeah.
way too much. This is way too much technical with uncivil law.
Fair. Real quick, because seems like a good question. I want to get your thought on this. Question from Gypsy: does it feel like both sides are sabotaging their own case, egos getting in the way? What do you think about that?
I don't think so. I don't I think the state just doesn't have a lot to work with. Why they don't have a better narrative to string the nothing together is a little bit of a mystery to me, because you would think they'd be able to connect the dots or spread their significance more. I think the state is just hampered by its own case. I think the defense has been doing fairly good, all things considered, on cross. It's not necessarily always what I would do, but they've been very good with the witnesses that are hostile to them in tone management
Mm,
and dealing with them in a way that brings them in easy and doesn't start out hot and gets their points from them in a very subtle way so that they don't get a lot of resistance. This is, of course, with non-professional witnesses. With the professional witnesses, like SLED and stuff, it's been a little bit more touchy. With the non-professional witnesses, with just your average person, they've been able to tone manage that very well. And I thought been able to extract from them good things that are helpful for their case without incurring a lot of resistance. So I think it's been a reasonably effective defense. I think the prosecution's hampered by the reality. The reality is that they just don't have a lot. And so I think they've done a decent job with the not much, but they don't have much. And I
yeah.
think as to why they brought the case, I think it's because of political pressure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I think that they felt, I mean, the attorney general's office hijacked this case
Okay.
because they didn't feel like the local authorities were doing anything about it. And they felt like, this is something that, needed to be done because of they felt I would guess they just felt like they had egg on their face
Mm,
from everything. And they just felt like this guy needed to be whacked around. And I think they went forward on the idea that they'd have more time, and then the guy invoked speedy trial, and they didn't know what to do.
hmm. But they're gonna get him for all like financial crimes. Why be so brazen with this?
I think they thought they'd have more time.
Oh, okay.
it was a bad calculation on their part. They were banking on something they didn't have a right to bank on. If they wanted more time, they could have just not brought the indictment.
Fair.
They could have had all the time they wanted because they could bring the indictment anytime. They chose to
Well,
bring it when they did, and
but isn't
then the
that
right to a
because they
speedy
thought he
trial
was
kicked in,
gonna leave?
and that you're bound by that.
Maybe they thought he was gonna leave. He was going to the Bahamas a lot, doing different things.
Yeah,
Does that maybe? I don't know.
could be.
Hmm. Well, interesting point either way. I mean, yeah, yeah, the speedy
Yeah,
trial part, I mean, that plays a huge role in it.
yeah. So once they brought the indictment, Murdaugh had the right to force their hand. Why they brought the indictment, though, I don't know. You think that they would have brought some of the financial stuff, maybe softened them up a little bit, and then gone for the murder if they were going to do that, but they didn't want to do that for whatever reason.
Yeah. Hmm. Um, there are a lot of outdoorsmen, I think, on the jury. I'll answer this real quick from Jennifer. Are the men jurors outdoorsmen? Know about guns? It seems like, and I think it's kind of fun having, and you'll know this, living in South or being from South Carolina. I think it's fun to be here because, when they talk about the different weapons and things like that, I do get a sense that many of the jury members have a good knowledge of what the people are talking about. Like I see them interested, they're like shaking their head, yes, looking at it and stuff. So I think a lot of people here are very familiar with those guns to begin with.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised by any particular outcome in this trial in
Mm,
terms of its ultimate resolution. I think the best legal decision at this point is not guilty, but you know, the prosecution's certainly gone out of their way to make the jury hate him with a lot of quite prejudicial financial stuff of
yeah,
him stealing money from the widows and orphans and all. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what's going to happen, but I think the best legal conclusion right now is not guilty. I don't buy the timeline. Um, Murdaugh has something like 16 minutes tops to commit the murders, clean up, get rid of the evidence,
yeah,
not get blood everywhere. There's no sign of blood in the house, in the drains, in the shower, on the clothing. Clean up the kennels, get rid of the guns somehow, not get blood all up in the car, you know, somehow do all that stuff. It's a lot. So, and I don't know what happened. I don't have an alternative explanation, but I don't need to have one, as I explained to people on my channel, because it's the state's burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't need to know what happened. I just need to know whether or not the state has proven this case. And it may well be that Alex Murdaugh is, in fact, the murderer. I just don't think they've proved it. Not to
I
the
agree.
standard we're supposed to use. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think you think is that what the jury is going to decide? Or do you think there's too much?
I wouldn't be surprised by any particular outcome.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised by any particular outcome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, apparently I'm hosting the stream by myself, and he's back.
No, I connected my actual mic and I just had to disconnect it through the StreamYard thing.
Mm. But I don't
But
want to keep you up too late. I know that it's 11 o'clock your time, and you have to go to sleep and get some food and bed and stuff. So, but I was
yeah,
happy
that's
to come on for at least a minute and talk to you and your audience.
absolutely. And I always enjoy talking to you as well, especially about this trial. You have a lot of good insight that I think, there's a lot going on, especially with speculation and people who want to see him guilty. But it's always nice to hear level headed and, lawyer perspective as well. So, and I always love coming and talking to you as well. And I appreciate that. And I probably should get off here. We're bumping at almost 3 hours, unless there's any
Go
more
get some sleep.
questions. Yeah. But what time zone are you in, by the way? You said
I'm
you're
an
in
hour
the
behind you.
country.
It's 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, cool. Well, I think everybody, this probably is a good place to end it. I appreciate Kurt for coming in. Everyone probably here already subscribes to your channel. I would assume so. But if you don't, definitely subscribe to Uncivil Law and on Twitter, Uncivil Law as well. And I'm gonna be doing this again, possibly during lunch, but most likely during the evening. And I don't know when you are streaming next, but I would love to come on with you if you want. But also, just if you want to say here when you're talking about the trial next.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm planning on picking up at least with the defense's case in chief. So I probably won't stream tomorrow, but
Okay.
I probably will pick up again on on Thursday. Um with the defense's Keith and Chase. So I'll probably stream Thursday and Friday and see how the defense's case gets started and then reassess from there.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah. Awesome. And I saw real quick in the chat someone saying there's two super chats. I've already addressed the super chat. It's just still up there, I believe, right? It stays up a while because I've already read this one from Hempland, Texas. So
Yeah.
good night, everyone. Thanks. Good night, Kurt, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone here. I'm gonna leave the chat open because everyone likes to say good night and stuff. So I'm just gonna leave it open for like a minute, but um, I'm gonna hop off on mute and stuff. So good night and see y'all tomorrow. You as well, Kurt.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, that's nice. I really like Kurt and Uncivil Law. Again, go check him out. I wasn't gonna say anything, but I just want to highlight some of these comments and say goodnight again to you all. Appreciate you all being here and get some rest for sure. And we will be back again tomorrow for day 18. All right. Good night and peace out.